SAP Convergent Invoicing handles immense volume. The system ingests massive cross-module transactions, organizing these mixed data streams into discrete financial documents. This raw input pool is comprised of millions of diverse source documents, items like standard billing documents, SD billing records, or scheduled periodic invoicing cycles. To process this data autonomously, the architecture utilizes a two-stage pipeline: selection and grouping. Selection acts as the gatekeeper, dictating exactly what is permitted to be invoiced by filtering out invalid records. Next, grouping clusters those surviving orders into final, distinct invoicing units. Configuration of these two levers, selection and grouping, allows the system to enforce complex enterprise billing requirements. The process begins with a pending invoicing order. The presence of this order triggers the evaluation of the transaction against the selection control configuration. Within the selection control view, the first layer of filtering is established: permitted source document categories. INVBI is used for convergent invoicing documents, while VBRK integrates sales and distribution. The main selection indicator checkboxes on the right act as the primary performance gatekeepers during mass processing. Structurally, if a contract account does not have at least one pending order bearing this main selection flag, the system bypasses that account entirely during the run. Deeper logic is applied through the selection rule column. You can populate this field with a blank space, a 1, or a 2 to define the system's behavior for each category. A blank rule tells the system to select the document category outright, bypassing any secondary, deeper filters. Rule 1 instructs the system to select the document by default, unless specific enhanced criteria have been explicitly defined elsewhere in the configuration. Rule 2 creates a strict block. The system will reject the document unless it matches the exact parameters defined in the enhanced selection control. This allows for highly targeted invoicing runs. By using Rule 2, enhanced selection can isolate specific source document types within a broader category to determine exactly what is billed. Selection control functions as a hierarchy of gates. By filtering from broad categories down to specific subtype rules, the engine ensures only validated transactions proceed to the next stage. Once the data survives the selection gates, the pipeline transitions to grouping. The system now organizes the surviving data pool into invoicing units. This stage follows a fixed architectural principle. One invoicing unit generates exactly one invoicing document. By default, the system clusters all pending documents for the same contract account, business partner, and currency into a single unit. To override this default behavior, we use grouping variants. Here, Variant 002 splits the output based on division lines. The parameters used are grouping characteristics, mapping directly to the FKK-INV trig database structure. Below, the S-part characteristic represents the division field, breaking the default account level cluster. As a result, the system generates separate invoices for different business lines, even when those charges belong to the same customer. Another common configuration involves using the source document number as the grouping characteristic. This mapping prevents aggregation entirely. It enforces a one-to-one relationship, where every individual billing document creates its own independent invoicing document. Grouping variants provide the mechanism for applying specific field-level logic to the structure of the final invoice. Standard configuration tables have limits. Conditional field requirements and unique business scenarios can eventually exceed the capabilities of standard variants. For these scenarios, technical architects utilize ABAP Event 2601. Event 2601 allows custom code to interrupt the native logic and rewrite the grouping proposals on the fly before they are committed to the database. For manual intervention, the system provides expert mode during dialog processing. Expert mode intercepts the generated units in a pop-up window. This allows a user to manually drag and drop source documents between units before the final invoice is created. Whether through Event 2601 or Expert mode, SAP provides both programmatic and manual options to ensure the final invoice structure meets specific requirements. Observing the entire pipeline end-to-end, we can trace how 100 raw pending orders are processed. First, selection control applies boundaries based on categories and rules. 40 packets are filtered out, while 60 validated packets proceed. Next, grouping characteristics apply field-level logic to the survivors. The 60 packets hit the grouping prism and are organized into 2 distinct units based on their division. The engine then outputs 2 independent invoicing documents, ready for posting. Selection control defines the boundaries of the run, while grouping variants determine the final document mapping. Supplemental tools like Event 2601 ensure this logic remains flexible enough to handle complex edge cases. This hierarchy of logic allows SAP Convergent Invoicing to process millions of transactions while maintaining the integrity of each individual financial record.